So Dr. Kela mentioned that this is the era of artificial intelligence. Taking this thought further, next we have a very interesting presentation on AI-driven employability skilling and navigating the skill revolution. I would like to call upon the stage Mr. Sunil Dahiya, the EVP Skilling at the Wadhwani Foundation. With over 2 decades of experience, Mr. Dahiya's role at the Wadhwani Foundation is pivotal in advancing skilling initiatives across India and Southeast Asia, contributing significantly to the goal of fostering job creation and economic growth. Under his guidance, the industry collaboration vertical has seen the successful placement of 2 lakh students. Along with him, we also have Mark Malaspina, the Chief Product Officer Skilling at the Wadhwani Foundation. Mark is a seasoned entrepreneur and influential business leader with a remarkable track record in the edtech sector. As the co-founder and president of the Grow Network, Mark played a pivotal role in establishing and leading the renowned edtech company. Under his leadership, the company has successfully catered to over 20 million students worldwide, revolutionizing the educational landscape. So let's give it up for Mark and Sunil.
So thank you all, everybody. It's really a pleasure to be here. I want to talk briefly, and I've been told to be very brief because we're running behind schedule, about a few different topics. So I'm going to cover the importance of employability skills. I'm going to describe our offering to employers, and then just give a little description and a very short demo of our platform, which involves artificial intelligence and some new capabilities that we've been working on. So, you all know this better than I. As seasoned HR professionals, you know the importance of employability skills. One of the things that often happens is, we hear soft skills, and soft skills don't really sound that important because of the word soft. But in fact, employability skills, we think, and the research has proven, is so critical to employees' success and to the success of the employers who are hiring them. So a lot of foundational research has been done by many people. The slide explains a few of them. The 85% figure there, I think, is the most interesting. 85% of an employee's job success comes from employability skills. Hard skills are important, but they're really not enough. And you all know that. What we've tried to do is think about what can we do as a foundation to intervene? How can we really help build people's employability skills in ways that isn't just on paper, but is real and will really help them in their career. One of the things that we've done along the journey is we've talked to more than 2,000 employers from all sorts of different sectors. And we've asked them about the comparable importance between what, quote, soft skills and hard skills. And you can see here, there is some variation. Up at the top is IT, where soft skills are considered 62% versus 38%, and it goes down. But really, I think the main message of that is that soft skills are important across all of the sectors. The kinds of things that you want to see, problem solving, teamwork, communication, is critical regardless of the sector. Companies are often willing to pay more for people, especially not just freshers, but people who are advanced in their careers, who have stronger employability skills. And what we've found, and we've talked to a new set of employers this year, who are really saying when we're looking for new talent, we're looking for very specific things. Communication often comes at the very top of that list. So you'll see when I talk about what our offering is, that communication is a really important part of what we do. This slide talks a little bit about some of the impact that we've seen from our courses, and I'll just highlight for you all that we talk to employees, we talk to employers, and consistently have heard that the kinds of programs that we're offering have really made a difference in terms of productivity at the workplace, as well as retention. And those two values are things that we really focus on, and Sunil will speak more about. So what do we provide to employers? So we actually have two different types of courses. really designed for two different levels of employees. So the first one is called Job Ready, which is a set of modules and lessons for freshers and other people who really need some basic foundational skills. And I'll show you a little bit more about what kinds of skills we're talking about. And then Job Rise, which is for the more advanced skills for people who have been at the workplace for 1 to 3 years and are ready to take the next steps in their careers. We have what I think is a really exciting kind of comprehensive set of modules. But what's interesting about this when we work with employers is we've developed the content in such a way that it can be kind of mixed and matched by the employer. So you can just take specific modules, for specific employees. It might be different employees in different departments can consume different modules from us. And the last point there is when we work with employers, one of the things we hear is we don't have time or the capacity to do the training ourselves. And so one of the things we've done is we've made all of our courses self-serve available, meaning that you can, as an employee, consume the courses without being led by a trainer. If the company wants to be training, we have that capability as well to integrate within a faculty-led session. So really quickly, you can see here all the different lessons that we have. These are the modules, 15 modules and 10 modules. And how do we deliver this? So what we've really invested in over the last 2 years is a new platform. We call it Genie AI, which is designed to be kind of a powerful companion for learners as they go through the content. And one of the things that we've really tried to focus on is how to make that content as interactive as possible. We know a lot of things from learning science, and one of my kind of special focus areas over my career has been instructional design and learning science. What do the experts say is really important for helping people learn content? And so we've tried to really inject those lessons, those findings into the way that we build content. Micro-learning, interactivity, constant checking of understanding, and simulations to really bring it together. So you're not just kind of assuming somebody knows something, you're really putting them in specific situations and asking them what they should do based on the scenario. So that's the interactive content. I'm going to show you a little bit about the Gen AI co-pilots in a second. This is, I think, one of the most exciting parts of our platform, and I'm really interested to get your feedback on that. We also really focus on rigorous assessment. So, as an employer, you all want to know, did the employee actually learn the skills that they think that you all think that they were trying to learn? And so we put a lot of effort into making the assessments strong, and then rewarding the learner with micro-certificates with something called the skill scorecard that I'm going to show in a second. These are kind of outputs that are valuable for the employee and also for the employer. Everything's mobile. We have invested in technology to connect employees with mentors and also employees with other community members. So we can have a group of people who are in the same sector but from different employers actually participate in a rich community that we curate. So I'm going to show you just 2 more things. This is the skill scorecard. So this is a custom report that we provide to employers for learners who have come out of our academic programs and taken the employability skills at our academic programs. We can also produce scorecards like this for employers if that's something you all are interested in, and we'd love to hear more about that input. You can see here for each of the competencies, there's specific scores. So you can really have a very rich sense of the strengths and areas of growth for each learner based on the skills scorecard. And we have information for the employer on the bottom of the skills scorecard, including research and more kind of detailed information about what's involved in each of those skills. And then for everybody who takes the course, each course, they earn a micro certificate. So what I'm going to do now is pivot to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence. I know this is, something that you all are living and breathing every day because AI is transforming everybody's lives, and all employers. But for somebody, for the kinds of learners that we serve, the question is, how can AI be brought to bear to have positive impact on these learners? And having been in ed tech for more than 20 years, this is by far the most exciting moment, I think, in education technology, because generative AI has really the capability to revolutionize learning. It can engage, personalize, adapt in ways that no other technology has been able to do. And one of the things that has fascinated me is talking to Ramesh, who's been in the AI business for the last 40 years. He says that this is the 6th wave of artificial intelligence, and this wave is by far more important than all the first 5 waves combined. And I believe that because I'm seeing it in the kinds of tools that we can build and the kind of impact that it can have on learners. So we're just in the beginning of our journey, but I'd love to show you a little bit about what we're working on. So we're going to switch screens. Okay, so this is just a quick glimpse into the Genie AI platform. And what you're seeing now is the view from a learner. We've actually put all of the content that we were just describing onto this learner. In reality, the learner would just be given specific modules, let's say that the employer wants them to consume, but just for the sake of comprehensiveness, we've put all of the content onto this learner. So you can see Job Ready, which was the first column of intervention skills, and Job Rise, which is the second column for people who are 1 to 3 years in the workplace. And if I'm the learner, I can consume the course, and what's shown on the left is the list of lessons. So you can see these are the different modules that we were looking at previously: success at work, effective speaking and listening skills, etc. And I'm just going to, very briefly show you something that we call My Tutor. So My Tutor is an AI-powered companion available to the learner as they go through the course. And it's a really exciting opportunity for learners to be able to get support as they're learning. So what we're going to show here is a particular lesson in problem solving and innovation advanced. So this is we're now within the Job Rise offering. So this is kind of the more advanced offering for employees. Problem solving. We have these different lessons here. The lesson that I'm looking at right now is called Produce New and Commercially Feasible Ideas. So this is something that we've heard from employers that they're interested. Certain employers are really interested in having employees who are, have some training in this kind of innovation. And so what can happen here is down on the bottom of the screen, underneath the main course window, you can see My Tutor, and there's an open response doc. You can ask any question you want of the tutor, and the tutor has the full context of the lesson. It actually has kind of the digested lesson summary available to it. And so it's working with the power of the LLM, but specifically the context of the way we've taught this particular topic. So it's a really powerful interface. So I'm going to just type a sample question. What is the main message of this lesson? And it talks about the main message of this lesson is significance of generating new and commercially feasible ideas, and it goes through some of the core concepts of the lesson. So you can begin to engage with it. Everything is mobile friendly, so we're looking here at the laptop, but it can be consumed on a phone. And everything is also audio enabled. So I'll just start, we won't listen to the whole thing, but
the main message of this lesson is the significance of generating new and commercially feasible ideas in the business.
So that's the kind of audio experience. You can also ask questions using the microphone. So I'm going to do that. What is a feasibility analysis? That feasibility analysis was one of the concepts that was actually in the description of the lesson. And so now you have an instant answer to that question. So you can see the kind of interactivity that you're able to achieve through generative artificial intelligence. But really the power of this is, I haven't even scratched the surface, I think, of what this can do. This is, nice. It might remind you of a chatbot. It's more powerful than a chatbot, but what's really exciting here is how do you take the power of generative artificial intelligence and make it very simple for users to use and to address some key learning science issues of how do you actually make sure learners are learning effectively. So what I've just opened now is called the toolkit, and this is really where the magic, I think, of generative AI comes to bear. In the toolkit, I can ask to get help, a simple summary or detailed summary of the lesson. I can check my learning. There's 3 different ways you can check your learning. You can be given a specific scenario, and it poses a question based on this lesson. We have it actually will generate many different questions. So you can try this multiple times. It will give you different scenarios. It asks you vocabulary questions. So core to learning is making sure that people know the vocabulary of the content, so the domain vocabulary. And that's another way you can check your learning. And then you also have the opportunity to explain concepts. So you can actually, it will ask a question. So we'll just see what the question is. In 1 to 3 sentences, explain this concept from the lesson and use an example. Assessing the feasibility of a project or an idea. So you actually have to now explain what does it mean to assess a project or the feasibility of a project or an idea, give an example, and it will then give you feedback on your explanation. So this is really kind of a very high level of learning where you're actually forced to explain things and interact with content. And then the final aspect of this that we're really excited about is this last area here called personalized to my target job. So you all know that employability skills is a very abstract concept. You can teach employability skills to virtually any people going into any career. But what's interesting about generative AI is that it has the power to personalize the employability skills to your particular career. And so what's shown here are 3 particular shortcuts that we've developed. One is why employers care. So if let's say I'm a retail sales associate. Oh, sorry. I think I clicked the wrong thing. So let's say I'm a retail sales associate. And I'm interested in knowing why. Well, actually, let's do something different. Let's do a manufacturing designer. So now, why do employers care about producing new and commercially feasible ideas when hiring for the role of manufacturing designer in India? So it becomes a very specific way of looking at that particular content. So there's lots of ways that you can actually use this to understand the concepts of the lesson as it relates to your particular career choice. There's a case study. There's also a collaborate activity if you're learning this in a group setting. So this all kind of comes together for the learners. We're seeing really good feedback from this. We've now just released this India-wide. And one of the other pieces of this is the multilingual capability. So everything I just showed you is currently also available in Hindi with the full ability to access the content, well, and be able to also do audio of the Hindi content. You can also speak Hindi into the application, and it will return the content in Hindi. So we're really excited about this, but also would love to hear feedback from you all. What your thoughts are about how we could improve this and meet the needs of your employees in the process. So with that, I will turn it back to Sunil. So could we switch over to the PowerPoint?
Thanks, Mark, for setting this up. And what I would like to do is, can you move? Okay. So what I'll take you through in a couple of slides is where are we in India? And maybe I'll cover the supply side of the equation and the demand side of the equation. And I think all of us here represent the demand side. And obviously, when Ajay said when we spoke to 2,000 employers, that was the first thing we did before even hitting the supply side. So we learned in terms of what do employers look forward to when they hire an individual. And these things also keep on, I must share this myself. Startup mindset was not asked till 2018. But after 18, we have seen employers started talking about startup mindset. Well, they should never give up. They should keep on trying. Try new things. Don't worry about failure. Even if you fail, you will learn. Now, those kind of things came in. So after meeting the employers there and then bringing it into the academia, because we took that feedback, took it to the academia, and this is where we are at this moment in terms of the impact. We are working with all segments when it comes to supply. So starting from, let's say, school student, we start training from 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade in schools. Come to the next part, which is ITIs, polytechnics, which is all diploma students. And then coming to the degree students, who would be typically in a tier 2 or a tier 3 kind of locations. So that has been and all along the dropouts. There's a huge problem of, there is school dropouts, there are ITI dropouts, there are polytechnic dropouts and college dropouts. So all along with them. So as we moved on this journey, so basically two sides, academia and skilling organizations. This is where we went and we started working with them and then bring them back to the employers. So this is one just glimpse. It's a very busy slide, but I'll just try to give you the summary of this. So what you can see on the map here is in the last 8 years, we are nearly covering most of the Indian states. You can see starting on the right on the top, starting from central organizations like AICTE, UGC, the entire ministries in terms of education, and then going further down into sector skill councils, and then partners in all across, whether it's universities, it could be skilling organizations, it could be diploma organizations, degree organizations. So this is the landscape which we have evolved. So what this in summary is telling us is we today are able to reach out to nearly 500,000 students. This year we are going to reach out around 500,000 students from the supply side and ensure that when we are training them, they learn the employability skills using the AI feature, and so they are better prepared for the workplace. So this is something which we are doing. So I'll just come to the next slide on this. Yeah, so I'll spend, actually this is the main slide which I wanted to share with all of you. So basically if you look at it, there's a pre-hire stage, there's an induction stage. Now this is typically an employee life cycle. Then it moves to 6 to 12 months of retention and then progression. So what do we, and what we want to do and what we want to offer to all of you here is supporting you in all these stages. So let me start from the bottom, pre-hire stage. Now pre-hire stage is the stage where maybe you are recruiting, let's say you have talent supply partners who could be academia, who could be maybe, there could be HR agencies, there could be staffing companies, any of the options could be possible. So if we can help you to ensure that before they join you in the work floor, they are trained on the employability skills using the Gen AI and the entire features which you just spoke about, so they are better prepared for you when they join you and they cross the door at the employer. And basically the objective is making them day one productive at work. That's the key objective. So in terms of the soft skills, we move them up, and then they're prepared to enter right there. Now, I must share something here. What Mark just explained to you about that on a mobile phone, you have a power of a co-pilot. Now, what has it done? Imagine your students when they join. Some of them are smart. They talk a lot and generally assume that they're very smart and they are the intelligent ones. And there are some of them who are very quiet. Now here there is a way to reduce that gap because they speak to the mobile phone, and the mobile phone has got a tutor who speaks back to them. And by the way, this tutor is the one who knows the world. So that's the power it brings at the learning stage. So imagine if that's the power they come from, look at what kind of, what kind of entry level they can be. Now there are two sides to it. Today when you are hiring this talent, either they would be already trained on soft skills. If that is true, perfectly fine. If not, they can be trained after getting into the organization, maybe in the induction period or somewhere there. So now coming to the second stage of this, which is 70 hours of, the first part is 120 hours of job ready program. In other words, making you ready to join a job. The second part, the 70 hours is after you come into the work. Now we have seen in skilling ecosystem, iteration rates are very high, and specifically when it comes to skilling. And I must, and maybe I'll come to that later. The whole aspect is culture change, the food, the taste is different, and I'm missing my home, and whatnot starts in that first 3 to 6 months. And then, of course, a completely different, how do I handle my supervisor? I don't think I'm being heard, and I'm very demotivated. What do I do? And somebody would tell them whatever, and they would just leave, right? And I'll come to a very specific example. This was in Zuri Hotels in Bangalore. 12 boys join, and one fine day they all leave. And then after you find out what is the problem, no, we don't, they had a problem of a toilet, a stinking toilet near to the place where they were staying. And then they say, no, we left because we don't want to talk to our boss. You can't reach him. He's very, he doesn't listen. Just imagine if somebody would have held them there, this could have been stopped. So I'm just going to come back to this. So let's stay on this 70 hours job rise program. This program is looking at how can you be successful at the workplace. Even things like prioritizing, daily diary. Do you maintain it? Do you take at the end, what did you do? Do you prepare? Is commitment the only day when it has to be sent 2 hours before the deadline? Or does it mean 2 days before the deadline? Now those stuff is put in right here in terms of at the workplace, which happens at the job rise part. And then later part, the 6 to 12 months retention is so crucial because if they cross this initial hiccup area, culture, people, and not missing their home, and rather work out as a teamwork. And there is, at this stage, what we offer you is a mentor and a coach from the foundation side. And so in other words, in this case of Zuri Hotels, had they spoken to a mentor, it would have been avoided. Just one example. Now in this case, there's another request which I'm requesting, we need your cooperation, is when we mentor them and coach them, our objective is, can they be growing and improving on their productivity? Now, the help which we need from you, and I think I'll come to that slide in just after this, is your participation in rating this employee on certain key parameters, maybe every quarter once, so that we get to know where does he or she need to improve on. So actually speaking, when I talk about mentorship and coaching solution, it might look like it's a one-way solution coming from mentors for these students who are joining, but here it could be a tripartite relationship where there's an employee, there's an employer, and there's an organization like Foundation which is mentoring them. So that's the equation there. And obviously once they run through this part, what we believe is after this they are on their own and they will continue further. So this is how, in a very simple terms, I just wanted to explain to you how we can support you in different stages when the student is yet to join or after joining the employee. Yeah, let's move to. So basically this is the last slide. So we look forward, yeah. Please, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. Exactly both sides. Job ready is for the first one, job rise is for the second one.
Right. And how do you manage? So can I ask?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
So how do we manage the infrastructure requirement? So like, I represent SKF, and it's a Swedish bearing organization.
Sure.
And we have a program called Youth Empowerment at SKF. And we do similar stuff. And what we encountered there is, we are in the similar business, but the infrastructure, people who doesn't have employment, that, there will be an adoption issue if I go with this model. Because they don't even have a laptop, They don't even have they struggle for the bread, morning, evening.
Okay.
And the entire model of yours is very IT-led, AI generative, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure you have the infrastructure support for them.
Yes.
Inbuilt in the whole model.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So my question is, the large part is towards employing Indians who are unemployed, or towards employing or reskilling with employability skills with all the people who are already employed in the organization, where is your skew?
Okay, so at this point, actually you're asking the supply side of the talent. So we are actually on both sides, but at this point, if you ask in terms of the big skew, is ensuring that at the time when they're learning the domain skills in their institutions, it could be ITI, polytechnics, or if they drop out, they move to the skilling centers. So those people who are unemployed will be typically in the NSDC centers and all across the skilling centers. So while they learn the domain skill there, in parallel, we empower them by learning the employability skill. So soft skill goes side by side with them. And it is not just like, if you look at our methodology, maybe I'll just touch upon that. The whole methodology, even from a device standpoint, it works beautifully well on the mobile phone. However, from the methodology point, we crack it totally. Because there's a watch piece, which is not more than 1.5 to 2 minutes. Because videos can't be beyond this. There's a think piece, where we force them to think beyond high order thinking. Nothing is wrong, nothing is right. If there's fire in this building, all of us will give different answers. No one is right, no one is wrong. So that's the high order thinking. Then comes the the collaborate part. We make sure there are role plays in the class, and then they do the collaboration sessions. Then comes the do part, which is more like testing what they've learned, and then the explore part. Now all this happens for every lesson in a 1-hour session. And in fact, our exposure has, our learning has been, when we did this for the employees, I can show you pictures, employees going back in their bus, after the factory work, and in the bus they are doing role plays. And this was 2Com, which is on the, Chroma stores people. So now that has been the experience. But yes, at this point, if I answered your question, this is how we are going about it.
And any reflection while you are on the journey, any reflection on, in India, we all are a very different learning style. Most of us have seen teachers standing on the pedestal and teaching us.
Yes.
Moving from that to an adoption of this on a mobile phone, do you see a struggle? People lose, context and content?
Okay, so I see, it has got two factors. At the supply side, there's a trainer who is trained how to deliver this. On the demand side, when we work with employers, generally the good employers have come up with one of their HR person who is the anchor. They may not deliver the lesson to them, but they ensure that everyone is, progressing. And we often, like we do on a weekly basis, sometimes, once in 2 weeks, we clear all their problems, their doubts. And as we move forward, we want to make sure that every person who is registered on an online program will get their, support within a week or 2 weeks' time for sure on the module they are learning. So that's also, we call them master classes, and our own faculty who handles it. Okay? Got it.
All right, I'm so sorry, please. We'll take up questions after the address.
Okay.
We're already
Okay.
late.
I'm here, so I'll just complete this, and we are all here, so we'll take this up. But is it very tempting? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Can it be for
Sure.
Is it an open platform which I can tell them and they can download the app and do this course, or they have to be linked to NSDC or some college?
No, it is for anybody and everybody. So yes, it's absolutely. It's of no at no cost, completely free for the employees, for the students, and for students in the academy.
I think
Okay,
we can take questions because that's critical. Let them ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have only one question, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, I have already witnessed your platform and we have done that Haldiram thing. I was
Yeah.
there. So it's a blended learning approach. I am completely aware of all the models that we follow. Now, my question is in regards to currently I'm working with Subway India, and we are already drafting a career roadmap for an employee to grow from one level to the other level. So
Okay.
from a team member, sandwich artist to a sandwich artist pro. I want to understand how can we link your curriculum with our curriculum? How can we match and marry these two? Is what my question is.
Sure. The good answer is yes, we can. But it's a long one, so I'll sit with you separately and tell you exactly how we can work it on the Subway. And you know we work together on the Haldiram piece.
Yes.
We'll be glad to work it out with you. But definitely it can be mapped, and the relevant modules. See, when Mark presented, even though we produce in front of you the whole 15 competencies plus 10 competencies, so 25. However, we can always look at the job role, and then working on that, we can pick up which one match for this, and we'll definitely help you on that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, let me just complete my last slide, and then I think we'll go ahead. So basically, here is the request for collaboration with all of you. And the collaboration, there are certain areas where we need your help. For example, today in this room, we see which are the job roles which will die in the next 2 months. You know it better than what we would know. Which are the emerging job roles, right? So those are the areas we need really your help. What are the emerging trends, and what is the need which you see as we move forward? That's the first part. Second part is obviously we are a talent. If we are producing talent on the supply side, can the talent be hired by the organizations like you? So it's pretty obvious as a hiring partner. And this last one I spoke about is retention and progression. The example which I gave you about, can you provide the feedback of that employee who is working, and we mentor and coach them so that together we ensure the success of this employee in the organization, which also improves the productivity multifold. So this is the last one, and I think that's all from me, but I'm here, we'll take up all the questions. Are we taking it later, or?
We can take the question if there are some.
Yeah, please, if there are any, yeah, please go ahead.
So hi, my name is Shalin and I work with a mobile organization and I help the people function over there. So I think some of the great work that you guys are doing, and in your delivery you mentioned that the talent scouting partner goes to various colleges where you are and you will partnering with them. And once we shortlist the candidates from there, you tie up with the companies and give them employment skill programs.
Yes.
Now, I wanted to ask you one question. Is there any possibility that if you are working with any colleges, and since the students are going through all your courses and you are doing their assessment as well, and you have a repository of those talent who have been assessed and stamped at certain level of competency there, we can touch base with those colleges and quickly hire those students. Now, I'll tell you why I'm asking this question, because the moment we hire people for our organization and we have already selected them, chances are very deplete there where we can put them on another sessions or maybe a week, 10 days program, because if I have to hire them for my assembly line, I may not give them that much time. But if you give me an opportunity to go back to those colleges through my vendors and pick up those set of people who are already gone through this employability skill program, for me, one, I will save the rotation time, and chances for me to have a better collaboration, getting feedback will be much faster, and the success is going to be much higher then.
Absolutely.
So is there any program that you have, or is there any possibility in future that you're going to work around this way?
Sure.
Then obviously the partnership can flourish further.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thanks for sharing it in so detail. Actually, very clearly I can see the need is, can you share the talent pipeline which is going to be emerging on a monthly basis or quarterly basis. That's the because we are working with, let's say, 500 ITIs, maybe thousands of colleges, and then we are working with polytechnics, which are again 800 to 1,000, then the skilling centers. So absolutely what we do today is in terms of once there's a partner comes to the demand, we pass it to all our partners. And then we ask them, because it will be a very geographic specific and all that part. So we do that part. And then we line up our partners to work with the employer. What I'm hearing you is the next step which we want to do, which is always visible pipeline, which is going to be available. So that today, as of now, this is a work in progress with us, and this we are working towards developing this. But the key part which I must share with you is the skill scorecard, and which we are talking here. And another point which I just like to share with all of you is we would also be, if the student is willing, this is underlined. We are also working on a pre-video log and a post-video log. Before the very 1-minute video of the student before the course and at the end of the course, and the similar question they answer. So even that will be available for you if the student agrees to be shared. So definitely we are working in that line. Thank you.
Just to add, in 2024, so far a lot of focus has been on the supply side. One of the things we want to do is start engaging with the employers. We have a database of all the students and their skill scorecards. In communication, they have done this.
Precisely my point.
We will encourage you to sign up on our platform and have access to this as long as students has given us permission to publish it. So you then become the hiring partner.
Absolutely. So we just wanted to make the process much faster and more certified that in that case.
Absolutely.
Earlier your question, are we doing supply or are we doing demand? We need to get the student ready for a job, but getting the student ready for the job and getting the first job may not be a family wage as yet. You need to handhold them for a couple of years until it's a child to adolescent, and then they are on their own. And that's why we want to handhold them for the next year or two. 70% attrition on your BPO side, right? Could we reduce that by 10 points by providing them some retention learning? Hey, you stay put 1 more year, you're going to get the skills. Even if you're struggling, the struggle is going to get you to the next level. You can deal with, adversity in life and so on, whatever, so that you stay put. So that's the retention progression part that we will roll out. One of the reasons we wanted to have this employer engagement is to start signing you guys up, be on our platform, engage both on be a hiring partner, we can be a retention partner, and then down the road we can also be a progression partner.
Hi, good evening.
I just want to check quickly. My name is Deepthi. I head the HR for an automobile sector. So, as you said, mentioned ITI, polytechnical, right? Every now and then we are facing a huge challenge. My point here is, are you providing a technical manpower, or you just teach them the soft skill part, or the technical and soft skill part?
Okay, so we provide, as of now, we provide them the soft skill or the employability skills part. The domain part, the trade part is done by the ITIs, all the ITIs, and we can also share with you the entire employability skills curriculum is now approved by DGT. So it applies to all ITIs all across India. So that's what we deliver. So we give them these skills, which is more employability skills, and domain they do it parallelly in the college.
I think just in addition to that, I'm Santhana. I represent Clicks Capital as the CHRO. While I understand that, your focus is on the employability skill side, for it to be a very, very sustainable thing, one thought was that if we were to call out and say that we need this kind of a skill set and on a very ongoing basis, would it be worthwhile for the team to consider the possibility of then matching that technical skill and then adding the employability skill? So for example, if we were to say we need a lot of frontline sales people, right, in lending. So you just need a lot of, let's say, direct sales or whatever. So you know that you need something, and we can actually help build the curriculum provided that you can identify campuses that those could be rolled out, and then you top it with the employability skills, so that you know that what you're getting is not just well-rounded professionals, but also with the very core, hard skills that is really needed. Because eventually, this is really great to have, but people want, talent that will get the job done. Right. And I think that's something that may not be a focus area for you, but if you can figure out how to tie that backward and then give us that talent, because we know that, okay, they've got the hard skills from the ITI or wherever,
Right.
NSTC, etc., and then add this, it'll be worth exploring.
So maybe I hear you, and I think you yourself answered that for us that was not as of now. But the key part, which we are trying to do, is enabling the ecosystem learn how your existing content can be powered with what we are talking about in terms of the AI piece. Now, that's more like what Ajay said in the beginning. For example, if there's an organization which has got content, and the content is digital and content is matching certain things, so we can be your guide in telling you how you can move it to digital and apply all the the learning features, question answers, any language,
So is there a
that portion can be done.
possibility, can one explore integration with the core LMS that we would have?
So it is like, in terms of if your LMS has to use our features, then there has to be a tunneling which happens
Yes.
here, and the API integrations.
Right.
That way it can be worked.
Yes, because that is clearly another very, very good
Yeah.
opportunity for looking at what is
Exactly.
the talent set that you have and how do you help them progress, at least in the first few
Absolutely.
years.
So we are just the beginning, but we will maybe by 2025, maybe by that time we'll do this, but we'll do the pilots and testing this year with some small modules, please.
Learning to, from a Panchtantra story to a lot of other stories we have, which is very, we all know, it's quite visual now these days. Getting the foreign content here in this country, or rejuvenating the content which we have learned over 5,000 years on the software skills. Would it not make more sense to just lighten up that than making them learn the content which is very US and European led? And, and I know we talk competencies, but here the small stories makes much more relevance. People learn it like one night you tell the kid and tomorrow morning he understands what we are talking, right?
Exactly.
So have we thought on that, because somebody talked about design thinking, about the, on the module creation. And I think country is already there on most of the story. We just need to ignite them and things.
Exactly.
The learning is very fast. Any thoughts on that? I know it's out of syllabus question, but
No, it's okay. We'll be glad to answer that. So first aspect is that the content and the language is completely to the country. So for example, exactly. So it is, for example, I must share this example. English in Philippines is very different from English in India. And then, of course, let me leave, Spanish and Portuguese, and that's separate thing. And so and now with AI feature, it can be Hindi, Bangla, Kannada, anything, because now, because of the new language models, things have become that much easier. So it is very much close to the student, their own native. And the beauty is, he might be learning in class in English, not a problem. Now, generally what happens is, even if they want to learn in Hindi, they will be shy in front of the class. But once they go back, they can toggle between English, Hindi, Kannada. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so if you, I think, okay, so if you look at all the scenarios which an Indian student learns from the industry are all local scenarios, but the key part is the beauty of the LMS is it can, what Mark shared with you about scenarios also, depending on the, when he asked the question, it replied for India context only. But suppose a student in Philippines asks the question, the reply would be for the Philippines context. So that way it is contextualized to that country. Okay?
Well,
Yeah.
we'll
Hi.
save the questions for dinner and
So
drinks.
can I
please.
take
We
this
need-
question? This
we really
is
need to move.
a bit different question.
Okay, this is the last question.
Sure.
So hi, this is Monica. I'm from a German healthcare organization. So I have a question. Organizations are focusing a lot on DEI nowadays, right? And when we talk about DEI, it's more, everybody talks about, the gender thing and then the LGBTI. However, I have noticed that a lot of focus is not on the especially able people, right? So do you have any such initiative to focus on them as well? Because I'm myself a mother of a special child, and I've seen how we have focused on him, groomed him, and he's now capable. And a lot of people reach out to me asking what we can do, how we can do to make them employable. So like, since you're a foundation, non-profit organization, do you really have that focus in your agenda? And if not, then can you think about that as well?
Okay, let me answer this. The very interesting thing happened when I visited NTTF Bangalore, and I was exposed to a batch which had the hearing impairedness, and but they can see. There's no problem in that. It was the hearing, and they use the sign language. Now, from the content per se, in terms of in this case, because you can see it, and it can be done, you can see it, so and there is an interpreter in the class who does it with the sign language, it works for them. And also with the speech, somewhere it will help this was only an example. I'm not trying to say that we are solving this problem, but it's just an example. So with the speech feature enabled, it can also be with partially, this is with NTTF, 2 batches there. But from an overall perspective, at this moment, our complete focus has been right now, impacting the whole ecosystem in terms of education. How do you take it to the next level? But somewhere, maybe at some stage, at some point, maybe we'll take that as an input. But Ajay, would we like to add anything?
No.
No? Yeah, so maybe sometime later we may, but I was very intrigued when we shared this with those students, and the hearing impaired students were absolutely delighted, and the voice part also did some part. But are we really solving it in that sense? Not exactly at this point.
Yeah, I would say it's a problem as well as opportunity as well,
exactly.
because employers don't get a lot of people who can join
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
Organizations literally have targets to have DI in place,
And-
right?
Yeah,
They're
and
not
I must,
achieving.
since you touched this topic, the beauty is for every 30 students, there's one normal student in that batch. And employers hire this normal student with a group of 10, and they become a fabulous team all across the world. Maybe a separate thing. Yeah, but thank you. That's okay. All right, so should we move to the next part? Yeah, thank you.